Good morning, Sangha. Welcome to our first virtual service of the season. So, my name is Upaya, and I'm a Dharma teacher intern here at the temple. We'll be starting service today with a bell chant, and today we'll be using the 5 mindfulness trainings, and that is on page 12 of the Rituals and Practices Guide. So, feel free to follow along with the text or just listen. Reverence for life. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I'm committed to cultivating the insight of into being and compassion and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I'm determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. Seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from dualistic and discriminatory thinking, I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world. True happiness. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I'm committed to practicing generosity in my thinking, speaking, and acting. I'm determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others, and I will share my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in need. I will practice looking deeply to see that the happiness and suffering of others are not separate from my own happiness and suffering, that true happiness is not possible without understanding and compassion, and that running after wealth, fame, power, and sensual pleasures can bring much suffering and despair. I'm aware that happiness depends on my mental attitude and not on external conditions, and that I can live happily in the present moment simply by remembering that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. I'm committed to practicing right livelihood so that I can help reduce the suffering of living beings on Earth and stop contributing to climate change. True love. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I'm committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. Knowing that sexual desire is not love, and that sexual activity motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others, I'm determined not to engage in sexual relations without true love and a deep, long-term commitment made known to my family and friends. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. Seeing that body and mind are one, I am committed to learning appropriate ways to take care of my sexual energy and cultivating loving kindness, compassion, joy, and inclusiveness, which is the 4 basic elements of happiness for my greater happiness and the greater happiness of others. Loving speech and deep listening. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and inability to listen to others, I am committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening in order to relieve suffering and promote reconciliation and peace in myself and among other people, ethnic and religious groups, and nations. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I'm committed to speaking truthfully using words that inspire confidence, joy, and hope. When anger is manifesting in me, I am determined not to speak. I will practice mindful breathing and walking in order to recognize and look deeply into my anger. I know that the roots of anger can be found in my wrong perceptions and lack of understanding of the suffering in myself and any other person. I will speak and listen in a way that can help me and my other person to transform suffering and see the way out of difficult situations. I am determined not to spread news that I do not know to be certain and not to utter words that can cause division or discord. I will practice right diligence to nourish my capacity for understanding, love, joy, and inclusiveness, and gradually transform the anger, violence, and fear that lie deep in my consciousness. Nourishment and healing. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivating good health, both physical and mental, in myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will practice looking deeply into how I consume the four kinds of nutriments, namely edible foods, sense impression, volition, and consciousness. I determined not to gamble and not to use alcohol, drugs, or any other products which contain toxins, such as certain websites, electronic games, TV programs, films, magazines, books, and conversations. I will practice coming back to the present moment to be in touch with the refreshing, healing, and nourishing elements in me and around me, not letting regrets and sorrow drag me back into the past, or letting anxiety, fear, or craving pull me out of the present moment. I determined not to try to cover up loneliness, anxiety, or other suffering by losing myself in consumption. I will contemplate into being and consume in a way that preserves joy, peace, and well being in my body and consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family, my society, and the earth. And please join me in noble silence until the beginning of service at 10 a.m. Good morning, Sangha, and welcome to our first virtual service of the season. My name is Upaya, and I'm a Dharma teacher intern here at the temple. And so let's see how well Zoom treats us. Um, right now, Zoom thinks I'm sitting like 3 inches to the right of where I am, and also that I have a magic bowl that appears and disappears and makes no sound when I ring it. So we'll see what else Zoom has to bring. I think it may be karmic consequences catching up with me for releasing those software builds that, well, weren't quite ready. So, first we will do is recite the incense lighting gatha. So, if you have the, the guideline open, you can turn to page 2 and recite the incense lighting gatha. In gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted waiting, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Welcome, everyone. We'll now recite the 3 refuges that are on page 3. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I'm aware of the 3 jewels within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to practice mindful breathing and smiling, looking into things. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion, and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to offer joy to one person in the morning and to help relieve the grief of one person in the afternoon. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I'm aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. And we bow. We can turn the page to the Heart Sutra on page 4. Ramaha Prasnya Paramita Hridaya Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion, from the deep practice of prajna paramita, perceived the emptiness of all five skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. Om Shrivaputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form, form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. Om Shrivaputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of sight. No realm of consciousness. No ignorance, no extinction of ignorance. No old age and death, nor extinction of them. No suffering, no cause of suffering. No cease from suffering. No path to lead out of suffering. No knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna paramita. Therefore, the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance, there is no fear. Away from all delusive views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith and prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant peerless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna paramita. Gatte, gatte, parvagate. Parvatsamgate Bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, parvagate. Parvatsamgate Bodhisvaha. Gatte, gatte, arvagate, arvagate, bodhisvaha, Ramaha, prasnya, paramita, Hridaya Sutra. And we bow. Welcome, Sangha. So, in today's talk, I'd like to talk about mindfulness in daily life. So, Mindfulness in daily life really is about the idea of practicing throughout the day. That we have a meditation practice that we sit typically for 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes, or whatever you can manage during the day. And so a lot of people think that that's kind of like the gold standard, right? Okay, sitting meditation. I have my cushion, I have my incense, I have my altar. And I think that it is very valuable to take that time and be 100% dedicated and focused to meditation, even if it's only a few minutes a day. If you do it every day, that's very helpful. But there's also other ways to practice too. Now, the Buddha left many, many, many teachings, but there's a few fundamental ones about meditation. One of which is the Satipatthana Sutra, which is something that we study in depth in the Bodhisattva class. And the Satipatthana Sutra really is the four grounds for the establishment of mindfulness. And so this is where the Buddha introduces the idea of continuous practice throughout the day. He says, oh, well, there are four different positions that you can use to practice meditation or mindfulness. There's standing, there's walking, there's sitting, and there's lying down. So basically, whatever you're doing throughout the day, you can build mindfulness and you can build open awareness. So, so what is mindfulness in daily life? I think of it as being fully present and showing up for your life. That I've seen studies that say that 50% of our waking hours, figure 16 hours a day, right? Give or take, that 50% of the time we spend wrapped up in regrets about the past or worries and anxiety about the future. 50%, that's like 8 hours. And the Buddhist perspective on this is that if you're wrapped up in all of these obsessive thoughts, regret, worry, anxiety, agitation, that's time that you're sleepwalking through life, that you're not really fully present and fully living your life. So 50% of the time, right? Now, that's not to say that you should never think about what's gone on in the past or do a review or plan your day. But a little bit of that goes pretty far. If you do a half an hour of that's you don't need to do like 8 hours of that. I'm guilty of that too. I'm a planner and I was project manager, program manager. So I mean, well, I would arrange my life as if every event that I was doing and everything I was going to do during the day was like a mission to Mars, right? It has to be exquisitely planned out to the last detail, and then you have contingency plans and things that don't work out, and contingencies for the contingency plan. That's really not necessary, and it's actually counterproductive. So this helps me do that. Um, when you're fully present, that's when um, you're able to open up into open awareness and just be fully present for everything that's going on to you. Now, um, I give you a little bit of insight into daily practice, right? So when I say practice continues throughout the day, well, what do I really mean by that? I can give you some examples from my own practice. The first thing when I wake up in the morning and before I get out of bed, I'll do a quick meditation and which takes, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minutes. And then gratitude. Like today, I'm grateful that I have a warm, dry place to sleep and that I didn't need to drive 45 minutes from Douglas to Fenville through a blizzard today. Right. And I'm also grateful that I look outside and I see all the beautiful snow. And just, it's like a grateful practice. It kind of puts you in the right mindset for the day versus, grabbing the phone, looking at the news or building all the things you need to do. There's time for that, all the to-do list, but that can be later. And then I'll get up and I'll roll right into my daily recitations. So in the morning, I recite things like the Heart Sutra. And the refuge vows has a bunch of other things I'll do too. And the idea really, again, is to, as I'm groggy and still waking up, it's a way of focusing on the words and focusing the mind versus um, just randomness as I slowly begin to wake up, right? And I notice that sometimes, though, I can be doing my recitations and my mind still wandering, right? So you kind of bring it back. It's like as I'm going around, and it doesn't add any time. For it's like, okay, I'm getting out of bed. I'll go take a shower. I'll go make breakfast and sit down to eat, and then clean up. But it's like it's bringing the mindfulness and the focus to all of that. So through the recitations, and if I start to wander, then I'll focus on my tasks. That, okay, I'm cooking eggs in the morning. Yes, I eat eggs. Um, and so it's focusing on the task and on the hands. So between the recitation and focusing on my motion, the motion of the hands, that's like continuous. I find that helps to really to bring me in and help me study. Other things you can do um, when I run out of recitations is that I'll do the gathas. So gathas, it's something from the Zen tradition, and it's something that you can recite to yourself or just silently or in your mind. And I think of it as like 50% of doing the gatha versus 50% in activity. So there's all sorts of gathas that Thich Nhat Hanh has written, and you can write your own gathas. And there's something like, um, when the table is spread for a meal, I vow with all beings to accept each dish as an offering that honors my ancient path. And there's like books and books of these things. And it's just a way of, again, of bringing focus to your activities and what you're actually doing. So I think that if I spend half the time, maybe depending on what it is, sometimes if it's washing dishes, I can spend 25% of my attention on watching the dish, right? Any other 75% on mindfulness of hands or breathing or whatnot. And it's just really it's bringing concentration and bringing focus. And mind wanders off, you bring it back. Same as sitting meditation. So there's getting ready in the morning. There's taking a shower. There's a shave. There's dressing, making breakfast, eating, washing dishes. I mean, and for me in the morning, that's about 45 minutes, an hour, or whatnot. And just all getting ready. And it's kind of an interesting game to see. My mind wanders off. I bring it back, um, and then carry on. So after that first hour, it's like, okay, well, now what? Well, and then I'm going to leave the house. I'm going to walk. Right. I'm going to walk across to the barn, get the barn heated up, and start working in my studio. And I work with power tools, so yes, mindfulness of power tools is kind of a good thing to be. But again, I mean, mind wanders. I realize it's wandering. I bring it back. It wanders again. I bring it back again. And it's whatever you're doing. It's not like it's taking extra time. It's like, oh, I'm going to walk down the street, or I'm walking to my car. And it's mindfulness of walking and breathing and the motion of your body. And if it wanders off, then you just bring it back. So it's not like you're actually adding extra time during the day. It's just you're doing the activities a little bit different in a way that supports building that muscle of concentration. I have all sorts of walking meditations. So we've got a house with a couple acres outside Douglas, and there's always something that needs to be done. So in the season, I mow, and that takes like an hour and a half. Or in the fall, I'll blow leaves. Or in the winter, I'll go shovel, right? And it's just going out and whatever you're doing. I mean, blowing leaves does not take that much mental capacity. So it's like, okay, I can spend maybe 90% of my attention on on walking and blowing, and the rest of that, maybe it takes 5%. Oh, now I have to, actually focus on the leaves bit. or walking behind a lawnmower. It's putting one foot in front of the other, slowly, quickly, whatever, but keeping focused on whatever that activity really is. So, in the same way that sitting meditation, you focus on the breath, you focus on this. Walking, you're just focusing on doing your tasks, right? Now, and then there's driving. Driving is a great one. Driving is a wonderful field of practice, right? Because there's all sorts of external agitation that you're getting. Well, more precisely, there's a lot of events happening, and then the way that you're reacting to them can get you very agitated. But there's different kinds of driving. There's like if I were to go driving today, I'm going to have to be like 90% of my time is going to be focused on trying to get the truck stuck to the ground and not slide off the road, right? So that's a very different focusing on the activities and being very conscious of what the behavior of the vehicle is, right? And what the conditions are. That's one. It was actually difficult driving condition. The second type is traffic, right? You're in traffic, somebody cuts you off, or you're waiting at a stoplight and they're checking email or something because the light changed like 10 seconds ago, right? So all these things that happen, and that's like, okay, I can spend half of my time, focusing on driving and then just letting these events kind of roll through me. That's kind of a great way of developing focus as well as equanimity. It's just, oh, somebody cut me off. I'll just pick off the brake, maybe tap the horn a little bit for him just to realize that, he cut me off. But yeah, it's just letting these things happen. And I find that when something happens like that, I'll experience alarm. Alarm is the body's natural reaction to, okay, something's going on that you need to take care of, right? It's like an alert. But not a lot of anger, right? So I find that the things that the threshold, the bar at which it takes to really get me going and get that kind of anger and agitation gets higher over time and the more you practice with it. Yeah, and I find that I get myself all agitated because people aren't behaving the way I expect them to or the way that I want them to. Right. And that kind of happens moment to moment. Oh, I think that somebody should have left more room or less room. Or why didn't they pull out? I mean, there's nobody coming. And so it's kind of it's a great practice just to watch your own reactions to the environment that's happening. And sometimes you're happy, sometimes it gets you agitated, but just realize that, okay, these are things that are going on, and it's just a bunch of events that happen, and I'm getting angry and agitated because of my own reactions. Not saying that you should try to suppress that. No, it washes through you, you experience it. But the more you realize that, the more practice you have with all of these little incidents, then the more you can bring the focus in. Another one is long distance drive. So today I'm going to visit my father in Tennessee, uh, who who lives down there, and that's like an 8 or 9 hour drive. So once the snow stops at noon, I'll go and I'll start driving. And for me, that's a little bit different because highway driving, there really is not a lot to do. I mean, you're sitting in a big comfy chair, and occasionally you need to speed up, slow down. And with the cruise control these days, it keeps you in the lane and um, warnings and stuff. So I find the cognitive load of like cross country driving is kind of low. You're really just sitting in a chair holding the wheel and occasionally reacting to a need to change lanes or something. So what I do, if I started turning those cross country drives into like a meditation retreat. If you go to meditation retreat, you'll sit for 45 minutes, right? In meditation, then there'll be a walking meditation for 15 minutes, and you go back and you sit again for another 45. And you do that on and on for all day long, half a day, a full day, sometimes for days on end, right? If it's a longer session or Vipassana retreat. Well, I don't have to pay anybody. I don't have to um, fly anywhere or drive anywhere. It's just the driving itself I find that it's like a sitting meditation for me with a little bit distracting. So if I need to change lanes or something, I'm like, okay, that's just a distraction. So instead of thinking, that's like driving. Okay. So I do that and I go back. So, but there'll be 5 or 10 minutes in a row that it's just sitting there, just sitting in a big comfy chair, flying down the highway at 70 miles an hour, mind you. But, and it's something that I relax into. So I turn the podcast off, turn the music off, and then just sit there. Um, so I'll do that for like maybe 45 minutes or an hour at a time, and then I'll break it up. So now those 15 minutes, I'll do maybe my weekly recitations or listen to Sutra on audiobook or something. So for those 10 to 15 minutes, and then I'll do like another hour session, and then 2 hours go by, and it's like time to take a break, get some gas, get a snack or something, and then go back. So it's basically, sitting in a car for sometimes 4 hours at a time, sometimes 8 hours on these cross country trips, and it's like a little meditation retreat. Oh, talking about gathas, here's a traffic gatha from Thich Nhat Hanh. He says that when traffic is bumper to bumper, I vow with all beings to move when the world starts moving and to rest when it pauses again. So I think that's pretty funny. That okay, yeah, you're in stop and go traffic, and that can be exhausting. Um, but it's only exhausting because you don't want to be stuck in traffic, right? If you just okay, it's time for me to go, it's time for me to stop. It makes it a lot easier. Um, Also, standing in line. That one of the meditation postures the Buddha gives us is standing in line, or always standing. And where you stand waiting for something. Um, Now, the idea of waiting for something is in itself problematic. That means that I don't want to be in this moment right now, where I am right now. I want to press that button and fast forward to something that I'd rather be doing. Right, that's waiting. So I would rather have just paid for my groceries and be on the way back. So standing at Costco a couple weeks ago, and sure enough, it's busy. 'Cause I go after Sunday service and usually go to Granville. And yeah, it's one of these things that I get there and I know for a fact that it's going to take at least 15 minutes because you see all the line, all the people are like shopping for the apocalypse or Thanksgiving or something. And they have like no multiple carts. I'm like, oh, and I've got a half a cart. So I could be upset about this, or you just stand there. Okay, you're just standing meditation, and I'll just breathe in, breathe out, stand there, and offer metta. I find it's a wonderful thing to do if you're stuck somewhere and there's just time. Is to offer metta to everybody you see, to the 5 people in front of you on the line and the next line, and it's then offer metta to the checkout staff and everybody else. So just being there, standing and offering that is a wonderful practice too. And it's a way of spending those 15 minutes that you're in the checkout line, besides kind of like checking out and checking your phone or whatnot. So I keep my phone in my pocket a lot more than I used to. Um, um, so doing these practices of being fully mindful of whatever's going on, um, it's great. I mean, it's a bit of effort, yeah, but it's worth it. But and let's see. After that, yeah, after I get my groceries and I drive back, many people like to do their sitting meditation first thing in the morning. For me, I'm still a little fuzzy in the morning, and so I'll do my recitation and get ready. For me, the sitting meditation is my day to night. So after I'm finished doing whatever I'm doing for the day, um, I'll then do my vespers of water offering and incense offering and prostrations, and then sitting meditation. That's kind of my day to night thing. And after that, I'll do a little nightly review that, when it's time to go to bed. set the alarm, then do a little review of what went well today. How was I using like the Brahmaviharas and the Paramitas? What did I did good today? What was skillful, and then what could have I done a little bit differently? And not focusing too much on what and you can make yourself crazy about, okay, well, here's the things I should have done, and then get reps so wrapped up and never get to sleep. But it's kind of a night review of what went well, and then what what things you could have done a bit differently. So I talked a little bit about all these practices, but what what's the benefit of doing this? Why did the Buddha put such emphasis on continuous practice throughout the day? Well, when we recite the three refuges, there's a line of verse that says, "May we let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free." So that's a clue, right? And that that line is meant, it's not a metaphor, it's a literal instruction that once you do, the more you can spend time focused on your tasks, your breath, your activities during the day, and the less time that you spend wrapped up with worry and anxiety and regrets and all that, there's a shift that happens. The mind begins to settle, and there's a shift that happens. So the restless, agitated mind, it's always there, but it begins to shift into the background, and what things that emerge are this lightness, this freedom, this ease, kind of a luminous spaciousness and joy. And these are like when the mind settles, the Brahmaviharas, the loving kindness and compassion and and joy and inclusiveness and equanimity. These things really begin to shine when the mind begins to settle. And by doing these practices during the day, you can get more. Sometimes it will be a few minutes, that experience. Sometimes it'll be a few hours, and sometimes it can even be days of having this letting go of the worry and anxiety, and it becomes this quiet joy that comes. So, how do we do this? Well, as the Buddha said, uh, ahipasako, which means come and see for yourself. And with that, prepare yourself for meditation.
In the temple.
First, take your seat. Feel the support of the earth through your feet, your knees, your sit bones. Feel yourself supported and one with the earth. And breathe. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. You can start counting from 5, 4, down to 1, back up to 5. When your mind wanders, it's okay. Bring it back again and again. When the 5 count becomes easy, switch to a 10 count. If your mind wanders off, that's okay. Just restart the count and start it again. When 10 becomes easy, try 20. When 20 becomes easy, you don't need to count anymore today. Maybe tomorrow, but not today. and breathe. And we bow. This time I'd like to open the floor to joys and concerns. So if anything on your mind, please put it in chat, and I'll go ahead and read them.
This is Kunga. I guess that it's my joy is it's a beautiful day outside despite the snow, and we have weather forecasting, so we knew what to expect, so that we can make some changes in the temple um, calendar to keep people safe and still provide the services. We will be doing the preceptor retreat and ordination next weekend, so I hope you're able to join us next Sunday for that. Thank you.
Feel free to unmute. I believe you can unmute, and if not, please put something in the chat.
Let me try this. Can you hear me?
You can. Hey, Phil.
Oh, hello. Hello, Sangha. I have a wonderful joy. I ended up spending the night at my aunt and uncle's house in Lansing, and my cousins also spending the night. It was the most remarkable family time. I'm still here, and I got to zoom in and hear a wonderful Dharma talk. I am low-key concerned about driving back to Muskegon from Lansing, but I think it'll warm up and it'll be safe. And of course, my concern is for all who are traveling today, that they may arrive safely to their destination. Thank you so much.
I feel myself included in that, Philip, since got to drive to Tennessee. So I'm looking forward to seeing my dad for his 91st birthday, and his wife. And I can't say I don't look forward to a winter travel and driving that distance, but you know, I'm sure whatever happens, I'll roll with it. I think once I get past like Kokomo, I should get past the snow. I have one in chat from Barb, and who says that my joy is from a couple young neighbors who came over this morning and helped me shovel my driveway. I had never met them, but I was grateful for their help. That's a wonderful gift. Mary John says, my joy is two very healing conversations with friends in the last 2 days, and a joy concern that my roommate slid off the road pretty badly Thursday, but we got them home safe and they were not hurt. Ugh, I'm glad. Anyone else have anything? Let's take a few moments to hold those joys and concerns in our hearts and to offer medicine. Okay, I have a few temple announcements, after service announcements, which I will need to kind of improv on the fly since there have been some schedule changes. So, first is that, like I said, that the preceptor retreat and ordination and potluck is now rescheduled for next weekend. And so feel free to bring something to the potluck, put a little label on it with ingredients, just so people with different dietary restrictions will be safe and happy. And so we're doing that. We're also celebrating Bodhi Day that day too. So that'll be next Sunday. And if you can't make anything or buy anything, that's okay. We usually have more than enough food, but just come by anyway. The online meditation group, led by Tunga, or me sometimes, meets on Wednesday night, and that's Wednesday 6 p.m. to 6:45, and that is Zoom only, virtual. And check out the newsletter for all the contact information and the link and whatnot. On Thursday, we have a Thursday Dharma discussion group, and that's led by Jingsu Ryan Duffield. And the group is reading and discussing Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet by Thich Nhat Hanh. Feel free to contact Ryan directly for more information on that. And it's Thursday mornings at 9:30 to 11. Mention that we have the Bodhi Day potluck and preceptor potluck, so there's one potluck, combined potluck, next Sunday. The Buddhist Mutual Aid group meets Sunday the 14th, so in 2 weeks, and that's 11:30 to 12:30 after service. Email Sun Shin or check the newsletter for more info. There's a Grand Rapids Temple board meeting Sunday the 21st. Everyone's welcome to sit and listen in or join via Google Meet. You're invited to observe, to check that out. At the end of December, there is Igisu's Sojung Fire Puja. So this is a Dharma talk, guided meditation, and ceremony led by Igisu, who's done this several years in a row now. And participants are invited to bring flower offerings and dish to share for a group reception after service. And that is Saturday, December 27th. I don't see a time on this, but it will be in the newsletter. It's at night. And not forgetting, we have Buddhist-based recovery meetings. These are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday's 6:30 here at the temple, and then meeting is 7:00. Wednesdays it's 6:30 at the Alano Club, and Fridays is 10:00 meditation, 10:30 meeting, or at the temple or via Zoom. Talk to Shane, uh, Reverend Susan Chu, or check the newsletter for more info. And not lastly, the Bodhisattva training. So we are starting up our annual Bodhisattva class, and that starts the first Saturday of every month, starting in January through August. And that class runs from 7:45 in the morning to noon, the first Saturday of each month. And I'll read a description of it. So receiving the Bodhisattva training represents a deepening commitment to the cultivation of the Buddha Dharma, this tradition, this temple. Students who wish to follow the Bodhisattva path commit to observing the 10 great precepts, the Bodhisattva precepts, and cultivating the 6 paramitas. To create good Dharma habits, they commit to developing a regular daily practice for 32 weeks, so it's quite a commitment, including prostration, meditation, recitation, study, journaling. Contact Kunga or see the newsletter for detail. So the Bodhisattva class is really where you first learn to incorporate the Dharma into daily life. So this is learning really how to live the Dharma on a daily basis, as well getting more familiar with some of the foundational Buddhist texts like the Satipatthana Sutta and the Way of the Bodhisattva by Shantideva. So there's a lot of reading, and it really helps center you and ground you, and it's definitely If you're looking to deepen your practice, this is definitely a wonderful way to do that. That brings us to the end of service today. And so lastly, we can recite our closing gathas. For all unskillful action ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginning was greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddha's teaching for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to enter. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. Thank you for coming to service. Stay warm and dry, and hope to see you next week for the preceptor ordination.